Live from my bedroom, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It is Stay Busy with the boy, Armand Sadler. Oh man, we back. Wow. Hey man, how are you?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. This is different. This is different for you all who will be tuning in. You will be seeing us a lot more often. Shout out to the visuals, but we're back and we are busy. Busy is back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 26, the first episode of season 2 of Stay Busy with the boy, Armand Sadler. I am still Armand Sadler, host, head honcho, vegan chorizo papi, all that good stuff. I'm here with my guy, my boy, still here, still doing the thing, the studio rat himself. You've seen him on IG story, behind the boards, working. Right. Nicholas Early, how you doing, my brother?
What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Nick Early. I'm executive producing, co-hosting. Really, really glad to be back. It feels like we're back home, doing what we do, giving y'all the stuff, the tips, the tricks, the conversation. So I'm really excited to be back. Let's get into it, man. We have a lot to cover today.
Yeah. So shout out to all of you tapping back in for season 2 and all of the support and love we got during season 1 as we were finding our footing in this podcast network. So many different podcasts and different people have given us feedback and promoted us and posted us on their stories and asked us when we were coming back because we didn't plan for our break to be this long. So we're glad that you all were interested and still wanted to hear us talk. So, and any new listeners who may be tapping in for the first time, shout out to you. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you stay. If you don't stay, tell us why you're not going to stay. We want to know how we can be a better podcast for you. Of course, shout out to Anchor, our distribution platform. Still, if you don't know by now, Anchor will distribute your podcast for free to all of the platforms that you would like to use, and you can get some sponsored ads regardless of your listenership. As we said before, you can see us now. We got to give a shout out to Zoom, who I think their stock has probably risen so much over the last 6 months with quarantine and people going from just conference calls to birthday parties and weddings and happy hours and now like BET and all these different big companies were holding their award shows through Zoom. So it's just like the possibilities are endless. Man, so I wonder if you guys are still poaching your eggs, or if they're scrambled, or if they're fried. Are you still eating steak that's breathing? Are you doing the thing? I had some sliced lamb meatballs the other day that were fire. First time having lamb meatballs. I didn't know that was a thing. Now I don't know if I'm ever gonna want to eat any other type of meatballs again, to be honest. And all you people who are Giannis fans, I'm gonna give y'all a hard time. Yeah, he's MVP, he's defensive player of the year, but the Bucks, they're not in the playoffs right now. Just like another team isn't in the playoffs right now.
We're not doing this. This is what we're not doing.
My beloved amazing co-host is a Los Angeles Clippers fan. Man, how you feeling?
Listen, you cannot faze me. I'm from LA. I grew up a Clipper fan my entire life during the Shaq and Kobe era. Every joke, everything, I've heard it. Y'all can't get to me. You can't get to me. But no, in all seriousness, I think it's, of course, my Clippers disappointed me again. But it's been 7 years with Doc. I mean, after he dismantled Lob City, I was kind of like, all right, let's move it on with him. But enough of that.
Man,
sort of side thing. But let's go Clippers.
So
for next year.
We've been out of the office for 3 months. In that time, a lot has happened in our lives and in the world. As you guys know, I was set to interview Pusha T. That interview did end up coming out. I also got to speak with Rob Markman this summer. And Nick, if you follow him on IG or if you follow Voicey, if you follow him on Voicey, he's been putting in the work every single day. But being out of office for 3 months, when you come back to work after vacation, them emails are flooded.
Stacked.
Our inbox is bugging right now. So we're going to get to these emails. And I think the best place to start is just verses, man. When the pandemic first began, Timbaland and Swizz came together and just put on a beat battle for the fans, just for the love. And then over time, they got other artists to come in. And since we've been gone, Versus inked a deal with Apple, which is incredible. They're verified on IG and Twitter. You can watch the Versus battles directly on Apple, and they're just a lot more recognized by the entire world. So much so that people are calling for like a Britney Spears and Avril Lavigne versus and all that. And we're trying to kind of keep Versus within the culture. Well, people are, because I think there are a couple exceptions that are valid, and we've covered that. But man, all of that to say, shout out to them for what they built in just a few months' time.
Right.
There were some incredible battles while we were gone as well. Patti LaBelle versus Gladys Knight. Brandy versus Monica, Rick Ross versus 2 Chainz, DMX versus Snoop Dogg, Fabulous versus Jadakiss, and Alicia Keys versus John Legend. Which was your favorite of the ones we missed?
I really, really enjoyed, of course, Alicia and John, because they had like the 2 pianos in the room. It just looked beautiful as well. I really enjoyed that one because they were also singing live. I mean, a lot of them have been singing and performing live, but it was really nice to hear the singers sing live. I didn't actually really catch Fab and Jada. I was in the studio. Whoops. But DMX and Snoop, I really enjoyed that one. That was a really good one. Ross and Chainz, it was fun. It was kind of more theatric, with Ross. They're just theatric guys that I like.
Yeah.
Brandy and Monica, of course, I was tuned in the whole time. I was in the studio. I went to the side room to just watch the whole thing for like 2 hours. We're going to talk about Brandy in a second.
Yeah.
And Patti versus Gladys, I was in and out on that one, but I love their music. I grew up on it. So,
yeah.
I really, really, I've had to say probably Brandy.
Yeah, and we were still potting around the time when they finally brought people into the same room with Beanie Man and Bounty Killer. Yes. And now we got Rick Ross and 2 Chainz. They were in the same room, dollars being thrown, strippers coming in, Rick Ross getting a massage, Alicia Keys and John Legend sitting back to back playing the piano, singing each other's songs. So it was a lot of love. It's a big celebration. It's amazing, and it's created so much discussion, and I think that's really been so important in this time, is just to show love to all these people, because 2 Chainz especially, like going into that battle, people were like, "Oh, Rick Ross is gonna wash him." It's like, do you guys forget what 2 Chainz has given us over the course of the last decade? And I think it gave people an opportunity to remember, like, back in the day, Spend It, all them tracks that we were really bumping. He's got stuff. So
he got some stuff.
Yeah, and I think, and we were talking about it. It'll be interesting to see how Versus kind of integrates itself into the new normal of the world. Eventually, I think we're going to get live Versus concerts, or just some type of concept like that. So I think that'd be really cool. And then, of course, the acts who are kind of popular now, and seeing them in 5 years, and kind of remembering their catalogs and where we're at right now. So Overall, shout out to Swizz and Tim for what they built, and I'm looking forward to the next battle. I don't think they've announced who the next one is yet, but I'm sure it's going to be a banger. Let's get into some news. There was a lot of news, a lot of crazy stuff happened. This was a very, very tough situation. Our podcast is a very, very big fan of Megan Thee Stallion. We were potting when she had her contract issues back in March, and in July, Tory Lanez was arrested for gun possession. And on that very night, there was a video that leaked of him and Megan Thee Stallion and Kylie Jenner partying together. I think they were actually on Instagram Live together.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then it came out that Megan Thee Stallion suffered gunshot wounds in her foot. And naturally, speculation goes everywhere. People thought that at one point Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion were dating. So there were just a lot of different narratives going around. Something that kind of really bothered me about the situation was that people kind of went to the jokes, like Tory Lanez short jokes, and like he had to shoot up at her foot and stuff like that. Like, sure, it's funny, but like at the end of it, someone did get shot. Like Meg had to post her wounds on Instagram because people thought she was lying, and I thought that was crazy. And Tory just completely went silent. Like as soon as it happened, as soon as the story came out, Tory went silent. You didn't hear anything from his birthday passed, and he didn't even say anything. Like someone is either guilty of something or something's going on if they don't even speak on their birthday.
Them lawyers said, hush it up.
Yeah. So then Meg gets on her live again one day, a couple weeks ago, and admits that Tory did indeed shoot her. And the only reason she came out and admitted it was because there were publicists leaking stories about Meg apparently assaulting him, or saying that they were dating, or Meg was cheating, or Meg was jealous of Tory trying to get at Kylie Jenner. And me personally, I've always been interested in the fact that, like, we heard Kylie was there that night, and like nothing of Kylie's involvement since. Like, it's just like, I don't know. That's always been something fishy to me, but I believe Meg. I think it's very unfortunate for Tory. We saw him really rising up during the pandemic with Quarantine Radio, with New Toronto 3, with everything he was doing, and then being on the front lines in the protests. So, yeah, man, but he messed up.
Some crazy behavior, man. I mean, like you said, yes. It's just so unfortunate, just the whole situation, but specifically, like, you had to you shot somebody. Like, and also, here's the thing too: we don't know what's going on. Like, we really don't know anything, and we don't even know if the narrative that's given to us has been like all the way 100. There's major details that we're missing. Like you said, what was Kylie doing? What was her involvement? Like, what was the whole situation? So, I think obviously Tory's reaction of him being quiet, everything's gonna come out, I think, in the future. But it's serious. I think I don't know if he'll be able to come back from that. So next.
But one thing we have to give credit to is Meg's fortitude. Right around that same time, WAP came out, her collaboration with Cardi B. Now, if you've been paying attention, Meg's been collecting the Infinity Stones of big women artists over the last 2 years, working with Nicki, Beyonce, and now Cardi B. WAP, the video was incredible. They both looked great. Kylie Jenner did a cameo appearance. A bunch of different women rappers did appear in the video, and we do expect that there's going to be a remix, probably featuring a lot of different women rappers. It's breaking crazy records. It actually stopped the very next song that we're going to talk about, "Laugh Now, Cry Later," Drake featuring Durk, from going #1. And you got to, like, that's a force. If you stopping Drake from going #1 with that video, with just the rollout, with just, it's pretty expected. Like, at this point, certain Drake songs you hear and you just know it's gonna go #1. But big shout out to Meg and Cardi. I love to see them working together. There's so much unity within women rappers right now, and that's what we need. I'm definitely hoping that along the way, perhaps Cardi and Nicki can fix things and work together, because just hearing them on Motorsport, even if it wasn't like there wasn't necessarily chemistry or it didn't feel collaborative, like just hearing their energy, they could put together some real fire if they really linked up. But yeah, Drake, along with the "Laugh Now, Cry Later" single, also announced Certified Lover Boy. His album is coming soon. A lot of people looking forward to that. A lot of speculation, of course. The single is going crazy. The video, he shot it at the Nike headquarters at midnight. Odell Beckham pulled up. Kevin Durant was in the video. Drewski was in the video. Just very funny, very like kind of cheesy, but in Drake's kind of way, which is like cool, cheesy. And yeah, I love the song. I've been listening to it a lot. Definitely looking forward to this album. And it was a huge look for Lil Durk. Durk's been making music for about 10 years now, and a lot of people still aren't fully hip to him, but that was a huge look for him. And yeah, so shout out to him for that. Another thing, which people might have forgotten because it's June has felt so long ago, J. Cole and No Name. So,
good Lord.
No Name tweeted that about conscious rappers who were being silent on certain matters, and J. Cole took it personally. And then he released Snow on the Bluff. I believe it was a 3.5, 4-minute narration, just stream of consciousness, basically addressing how he didn't like No Name's tone in calling out people. And he acknowledges that he might not be educated enough to speak on these matters. And he felt that she was speaking from a place of privilege. And, we should just kind of, you should kind of nurture people and not be so aggressive with it. And Twitter went up in flames. Yeah. Following that, No Name gave us song 33, a much shorter offering, like a minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She got in, she got out, and
kind of fizzled, I feel like.
Yeah, and while there was a big, like, while No Name's points were valid, I think there was a larger issue that kind of seeped into this in dividing black men and black women.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cole's timing in what he said, given the current
It was terrible.
state of
Let's
the
call it
country,
what,
the
let's
riots,
call it
the
what it is. It was
protests,
terrible time.
police still killing black people,
Yeah.
unarmed black people, young black women. Like, just the timing of it wasn't the best. But that's a hard conversation for us to have in general. Like, I don't know if it'll ever be the right timing. I'm rambling. So please, what
No,
would you feel?
for me, I really love Cole. My problem with it is Cole. First off, to me, when I read the tweet, when I read her initial tweet, I'm like, wait, time out. She never really added him. She never added him. She didn't make no clear like this. I'm talking to you, Cole, type of wording. And so the reason, which is why I'm saying also, is that as the consumers, as the Gen Pop, we don't get the full story.
Mhm.
So maybe there is some sort of thing that happened to where Cole was like, oh, she's talking about me, I have to respond, right? And I think what his messaging was, like, obviously he was saying like, hey, I don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying the way you're coming across seems condescending. I get that, but also we got to stop telling black women how they should react, right? He would never do that to a dude. It's just fact. We wouldn't do that to a guy. We would, you know what I'm saying? But always kind of checking a woman on her tone and stuff like that, it doesn't look good, right? And especially doesn't look good during the time of what had just happened. Like, a lot, black women have really, in this time, I think, taken on a brunt of the emotional trauma and all the sort of things that happen because, like we said, they're black and they're women. They have an experience that we even don't get, you know what I'm saying, as black men. And so I found it's like, even if you did need to say something, that's let me get her on the phone type. That's a off the books sort of conversation thing because, hey, I respect what you're doing. You had a book club, you're doing all this sort of stuff. Like, I personally feel like, look, there's a lot of people out here who just don't know better. Yes, we're in the information age, all that sort of stuff. So there's no excuse for them, but they still don't know better. And you're an educator. You're trying to teach people new things. I would, if I were you, just you got to understand your approach, know your audience. That's the kind of conversation I think he wanted to have. Yeah. It just doesn't look good in a song.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good in a song, especially off a tweet that really didn't say your name.
Yeah.
Which is why, like I said, my first point is that I feel like there might be something in between the lines that we don't know,
right?
As consumers. So, I mean, at the end of the day, great deal of respect for both of them. And I think they both have different things going on, in their approaches of how they want to move forward. But it was just, to me, it's just like, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. What are we doing here? So, I don't know.
Yeah. And all that aside, I did enjoy the song. I mean, Cole's a great rapper. Like the like what he had to say and the way he said it in terms of rapping talent, great. The timing and the way it made people feel, and like you said, just putting it in a song like that's a phone call. J. Cole and No Name, we know have some type of prior relationship. Whether they're super close friends or just like, but we know that they know each other and they're associated with people who are close.
They could have got on the phone.
Putting it in a song and then letting Twitter get it just makes it a whole different conversation. Then it becomes black women versus black men. And then it also became a kind of stan wars. Like, people who didn't like Cole were kind of waiting for that moment to be like, yeah, you guys hail him as this super woke conscious guy. And like, he's not that smart. And it just became nasty. It became a very, very frustrating conversation to look on, but it's time has passed and it almost feels like ancient history. A couple more big news before we get into notable releases. I want to give a shout out to Lil Baby. His album My Turn went double platinum in 6 months, which is a very, very big deal. To provide some context for that, J. Cole's Born Sinner, released in 2013, just went double platinum. Now, of course, streaming has changed the game a bit. The game is different, and I actually did some research just to provide some comprehensive details for you all. Everyone's aware that 1,500 streams equals one physical album sale. Now, I was always confused. I was like, well, do you have to stream every single song on the album? Can you stream one song for the amount of times that each song is like, for the amount of songs on the album? What is it? So it's minimum 6 songs on an album, maximum 12 songs to count for a stream. So 1,500 streams of at least 6 songs of an album. So that kind of changes it. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone is listening to every song on My Turn. He had some strong singles. He put out a deluxe for it with We Paid, which was really good. But still, like if you just look at it on paper, Lil Baby went double platinum in 6 months. Huge accomplishment. So I want to give a shout out to him. Tekashi 6ix9ine, who I don't really care about, but yeah, his album flopped, and I expected it. It's something that we've talked about. You know, when you build your career on shock value and trolling, and your talent level isn't that high, and people aren't interested in your trolling and shock value anymore, we see you for who you are, not that talented, just someone who's good for algorithms, good for clicks.
My man over here said, "We're just gonna let clowns do what clowns do."
Boom, simple as that. Man, these notable releases. I'm gonna let Nick kick it off. He's got plenty to say about this album. Actually, I'm sorry, no. Also want to give a shout out to Travis Scott for partnering with McDonald's. The Travis Scott meal. Even if it's not an actual meal, even if he didn't do anything different, that's still monumental. That link up. There aren't too many people doing that right now. It's kind of like Drake shooting his video at the Nike headquarters. Not a lot of people doing that. So it shows that you're at a certain level of superstar, whether you want a Sprite with ice or not. Like, yo, I can't believe that was a menu item, Sprite with ice. Like, thank you, man. Like, but anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I have a lot, actually, and funny you said that. I actually had a lot of thoughts on this, and it kind of goes into our prior conversation about J. Cole and just artists being like, should artists have like a social consciousness about what they move, their moves, and like how they partner with brands and whatnot? Travis has become this larger than life figure, obviously, and he's really ascended into, like, me and G were talking about, shout out G, we were talking about, like, we have of course the 3-headed monster in Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. But if this was like a tournament bracket, Travis would be a 1 seed in that other conference, you know what I'm saying? And that would be the 4. And so as he's ascended into this new stature, I think that he's had, obviously he's doing all these big deals, Jordan and all that. The conversation I watched, and they were talking about on Joe Budden about him, partnering up with McDonald's, is like, it's dope because obviously, like, for one person to partner with one of the probably top 10 biggest brands in the world of all time, it's huge. You know what I'm saying? And for him to have his own meal, just pretty much for being cool and existing type thing. And it was unique. I had a conversation. I forget how I was having the conversation with about, like, I think it was 7. I think I had my conversation. Shout out 7. We're having a conversation about, being McDonald's is basically poisonous food, for lack of a better word. And it's like, should we be holding him accountable for partnering with a company that, it's a nuanced argument. Should we hold him accountable for partnering with a company that's low-key killing the community? And so obviously, I think, like, at one side of it, it's not that serious, and then another side of it is just like, well, yeah, but then it's like, what do we expect from artists? Do we expect artists to have that sort of consciousness, or is it, I think Travis is one of those guys that I don't think he doesn't want to be known for having a social commentary on anything, or he doesn't want to be known for, making big social stances or anything like that. I think he just wants to be cool, right? And this is some cool stuff, but yeah. It's just something to consider, and I think it's interesting, the conversation, because I was speaking to people about it. But, obviously it's a big deal for a Black man to be partnering with McDonald's for just being himself. So all love to Travis for doing that. But it's just an interesting conversation to have.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But moving on, continuing with the out of office segment, my favorite part, notable releases. The most notable, the highest, uppermost release is Brandy's B7. I'm going to say that for multiple reasons. I think merit-wise, of all the things that we're going to talk about, it is the best. From the production, from the vocals, from the delivery. Now, I will say this. Brandy's music, I think in general, as she was younger, and I went back and did a whole deep dive, ran the whole discography. Her music, I think, may not appeal to certain people, because I think as a listener, to appreciate Brandy, it's the subtlety, it's the nuance of what makes her so great for me. is that I've run B7 over and over. I mean, countless times at this point. And you find this level of nuance in her voice, in her delivery, in her tone. Backgrounds is just coming from everywhere, like little droplets, just like that. It's a true sonic experience. And yes, it sounds dramatic or whatnot, but as someone who really loves vocals, someone who really loves pen, loves delivering all those things, you listen to Brandy, you get all of that. And she can kind of do everything. She typically, is just, floating and doing whatever she does, but she can run. Of course, obviously, there's runs and then there's Brandy runs. I've seen the tweet. It's like there's runs and then there's Brandy runs. The complexity is not always. It's not about the complexity. It's about the layering. Like she'll do a simple run, but it has so many layers, and each run, like if they'll all do, maybe like sing a unison note, and then at the end, 3 parts will do some crazy harmony part. It's just a lot of intricacy that the average singer is not thinking about and putting that detail in, and she's executing it with like perfect pitch, pristine. Just the execution is always so high, and so I'm excited for her. She's gone through a lot in her life to kind of get to this point, and like sort of people will say like, oh, she fell off her career, or like she had this big delay in her career. She went through a lot, and to see her back doing what she's supposed to be doing and just kind of giving another push and kind of in a new rebirth of her career, it's just so exciting because she's so deserving. She's one of the best singers I've ever heard, and all the greats have said it. Babyface, Whitney was her mentor. Like all these people have said this about her, and so I truly believe she is the template. Drizzy, Kehlani, Tiana Taylor, all these people, Summer Walker, they source from Brandy. Frank, they all source from Brandy. Like, let's never get it twisted. So I just want her to get her due. If you haven't listened to B7, stop playing yourself and love yourself and listen, because I think you'll really understand what I'm talking about based on those criteria.
You got any favorites, like the 3 favorite songs?
There's a 4-song run. All right, I've gone back and forth with many people about this. I think it's a 4-song run. Some people, it's an indisputable 3-song run, but it's a 4-song to me, starting with Lucid Dreams, going down into Lucid Dreams, into Borderline, into No Tomorrow, ending with Say Something on her track list. Listen to those songs and you would just feel like a different type of like, yo, what is this what I've heard? It's kind of like on, on More Life, that like 3-song at the end is like what? Sacrifices, Portland, and whatever the other 3rd song.
Nothing to
like,
something. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's like there's a run. I think it might be one before that. But anyways, point is, everyone loves those runs on albums where you're like, oh, this ain't stopping. And it's like R&B, her like sort of experimental R&B where she's just like weaving in and out of it. It's crazy. I really love it. I think y'all would love it too. Check it out. B7.
All right. B7, folks. Nick Early, everybody.
Listen.
Not a game.
I don't know where I stand.
Pop Smoke released his first posthumous album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, back in July. Deluxe came out a couple weeks later. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of critique going into it before it even came out because of the track list. There was 3 Quavo features, there was a Tyga feature, Future feature, Karol G, and then it leaked that the Karol G song was supposed to have Burna Boy originally. So there are a lot of people like, oh, what are you doing with Pop Smoke? Where are all the Brooklyn drill artists? This, that. And for me, just thinking about his trajectory from Welcome to the Party up to when he passed, he became a star so fast. So looking at that track list, DaBaby, Lil Baby were on it too. It's like, oh, they're giving him acts to put him next to that they would put, like, these are people you would put a superstar next to. They really believe Pop Smoke is going to be a superstar. He was managed by Steven Victor, working closely with Pusha T. Like, so it was his trajectory was basically out of there. He was working on a collab project with Quavo, and the project held up. I really enjoyed it. Very soon after its release, there was a whole controversy with there's a song Paranoid, Young Thug, Gunna, and Pusha T was originally supposed to be on it. And there were some bars thrown at Drake, and a lot of different things happening behind the scenes, a lot of different rumors and narratives. Pusha T felt like Drake was legally somehow keeping his verse from coming out or something like that, stopping songs from coming out. So Push went on his IG story and said, just take my verse off, and him and Young Thug kind of went at it. And I on the one hand, it's rap. You know, people are going to get their bars off. Push beat Drake in the beef, so I think he's earned himself the right to go on a victory lap. If you remember what Drake did after he beat Meek Mill, he was going crazy, like performing back to back memes and everything. So it's like, yo, like you can't see Drake do that and then turn around and be like, "Oh, Push, why are you still talking about it?" I just think the timing being on Pop Smoke's first posthumous album, we're really trying to celebrate him and his life and all he brought to the game. So yeah, I didn't really like the timing of it, and I hated that that's what people were more focused on than Pop Smoke himself. But shout out to him for that. It did crazy numbers. I think it was like 375 first week or something like that. So yeah, shout out to him. Another project which kind of swept the timeline, the world, music, and kind of out of nowhere. Like I'll admit, I wasn't hip to this person till the day their project dropped. But Flo Milli, Ho, Why Is You Here?
Flo Milli.
Yeah, she's dope. I really I love her energy. She sounds she definitely reminds me of like City Girls and Meg, but has her own swag. And I really love this brand of like aggressive, I'ma say whatever type of rap for women, like just not letting themselves be held back by societal standards in the music and be like, I'm gonna say whatever, I'm gonna scam you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Like, so yeah, I really enjoyed that project. There were some people talking and they felt like she was an industry plant. I don't believe that.
Oh man,
what are your thoughts on that? I think we should at least explore it, you know.
We can explore it, and I think it's just really quick. People just want to say anything. Like people want to, they're shocked when people are good. You know what I'm saying? They're shocked and like okay, this is a lot of discussion about invasion of privacy and Cardi. It was like people didn't think Cardi was an industry plant because there's videos prior to her coming up, but like people were like, well, whoever wrote these bars, like little slick stuff like that. Well, whoever wrote these bars, this stuff is hard, whatever. And she won Best Rap Album. People were going up in arms and whatnot. And I'm just like, guys, why do we do this to women? Like, Flo Milli's young, she's dope, she's great. What if she had a little? I don't know if she's had help. I wasn't in the studio, and if she did, is the song dope? Do you like it? Tough. Like that's it. And so I think the fact of the matter is, like, I just don't. I don't like entertain the conversation of people being industry plants because we truly don't know.
Yeah,
truly don't know. So, cool. Flo Milli, I loved it. Loved the project.
Absolutely.
I ran it several times. It's dope.
Yep, simple as that. Man. SZA returned.
Hit different.
Hit different. Featuring the parsley, the avocado of the music industry, Ty Dolla $ign. Shout out to my boy Ahmad Davis. He tweeted the other day, Ty Dolla $ign can't make his own album because he's so busy making everyone else's albums better. But SZA did her thing on this single. I really enjoyed it. We've been waiting a while to hear her, and just her working with Ty. Her voice, SZA's content. She's another one of those women who just says whatever. There was a video interview she did with Issa Rae where she talked about cheating on her man and how she cheated on him with a dude she knew. They used to ride the Staten Island ferry together. So SZA's gonna do whatever. She gonna say whatever, but she gonna make some heat too. Yeah. So I love that record. That's one of like I think there's actual crack in that song because it's like you hear it and then you repeat it. You say that hook over and over and over in your head, and I love it. But I want to have a quick talk about SZA. Someone on the timeline tweeted after this song came out. She was like, "Yeah, you know, hit different is cool. Control was really good, but y'all kind of talk about SZA and like put her in this light, and she hasn't really done enough to be one of the considered one of the top women in R&B." And I thought about it, and I was like, I do love SZA. Control was incredible. And I've had conversations with people where they compare Summer Walker and her. I'm like, well, Summer hasn't really been around enough to really get that comparison. But if you look at Summer's last 2 years, she's put out like 4 projects and they've all been pretty good. So I was thinking like, you know, what is it about SZA that people kind of, I mean, she's also been around longer. She did put out EPs prior to Control, and like all her stuff has been good as well. But in terms of albums, she like technically, I believe she really only has Control. So it's like, what is it about maybe that or just about SZA? Maybe it's the fact she's with TDE, but like she's really up on this pedestal. And and it's not that I don't think she's not deserving for it. But I think the criteria changes. Well, what do you think?
I think, with SZA specifically, I think the reason why, like you're saying, like, why do people take her out of the conversation of being like in R&B, like being one of the women in R&B, or why people are including her?
Like I'm trying to explore why she's included, even if she might not have the output in terms of like volume of music
Quality,
that people.
quality.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. Quality. Why are we still listening to, why are we so on our, on the edge of our seats for Frank, for Kendrick? Because when they give us something, it's nourishing. It's nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think for a lot of people, Control was one of those things that just over and over and over.
Yeah.
For Rihanna. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like I've said about this on prior episodes about Summer, if you want to talk about Summer. Summer, I love you. If you ever listen to anyone from Summer's camp, I have a lot of respect for Summer. I just like a specific type of Summer because I feel like that's who she is, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been apparent and clear.
Mm-hmm.
Summer with live bands over Summer over beats. That's just what I always say. Live instrumentation, Summer is the best for me. So the point is, Summer, like you said, 4 projects or whatever, and I think people like her. I think she's up and coming. She does stupid numbers and whatnot. But I think her music doesn't hit as hard yet. And obviously, they're at different points in their career too. And I want to say, and I think the content is way different because of SZA's age and SZA's life experience, and Summer's age and life experience, so on and so forth. But I didn't mean to get into a Summer SZA comparison.
Nah.
Point being, I think that one of the major reasons you can look at a bunch of different cases for different artists is that when you give us quality, we're going to hang on to that. And TDE is a specific case. We all know how they are. Like it's so interesting how they do their approach. And me and G were talking about it actually yesterday. We were talking about, and I made the point of like TDE and Punch and Top Dog, like they're parenting all of their kids the same way, and it's just like not how it works. Like certain artists should be able to release at a different sort of schedule because that's just who they are. Like the way they parent Kendrick should not be the way they parent Isaiah, or the way they parent Zakari or SZA, you know what I'm saying, or Boogie, or any of the others that are Q, all the people that are signed with them. When you give the same approach for different artists, it just doesn't, sometimes it doesn't work. I think in relation to releasing, as we're saying, like SZA, how long has SZA been saying, I want to put my stuff out? And we
basically
also
since
don't know
Control.
right, at the same time, too, it's like at the same time, we don't know the story behind it, too. Mm-hmm. We don't know if it's smoke and mirrors, if they were just trying to build anticipation, build hype, whatnot, because they knew Control was so good to, it would really like sit on people for a lot. I know a lot of people who are still running Control.
Absolutely. I'm people.
I'm people.
I am
right.
people.
Right. So, we also just don't know, man.
Yeah.
We just don't know. But I think SZA, if they can get her on a more, I think, consistent release schedule so far as her own individual content, I think she's gonna just go out of here because it's a realness that people connect with, that really really love. So that's that.
Yeah, that's a fact. I guess we can get into Summer's project she dropped to the Life on Earth EP that dropped back in July. 5 songs, 1 Party Next Door feature, and this guy named No One Noah, who I actually liked. I do like Summer. I like the project. A couple songs have grown on me a little more. I thought the features outperformed her. Personally, I think this was a little more aligned with the type of content from Summer you might like. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there.
It was half and half. It was like going close towards it. It's like it's like the ugly step cousin to what I like. From what I liked before.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I saw, just really quick, I saw a tweet. I don't know if you saw. I retweeted it. I was like, I quoted it saying, "I've been saying this for months." It was someone who said like, Summer, because she did that, I think it was Kimmel, or it was one of the late night shows. Mm-hmm. She did a live performance with all the flowers and her and a band, and it sounded amazing. Mm-hmm. It sounded great. Mm-hmm. It was her, and the tweet was like, "Summer with live bands greater than Summer over beats." I've been saying this. Summer has real talent. Let it show. Just let it show. But anyways, that's enough.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of what you might want to hear and other people want to hear from Summer crept out in this project, but there were more of the auto tune type, hip hop R&B kind of hybrid type songs too, and it seems like they're trying to continue marketing her that way. She made a really weird comment on Instagram. She did a song with Pop Smoke. She was on the Mood Swings remix, and someone said, "Is it just me or is this not good?" And then she,
Oh
she
my god.
but look, she replies to the comment like, "Yeah, I agree. I didn't like it either. I only did it because like I was asked twice to do it to feature on a song with him. Someone wrote the verse for me. I'm just gonna take the L on my part, charge it to the game, but love to Pop Smoke." And I'm just like, yo, not everything needs to be said. Like you really did not have to say that. Like you could just
Let's
let people not like the song.
But that's showing. But that proves my point.
Mhm.
They are trying to force her to do stuff she don't want to do, and it's not her.
Mm-hmm.
Her music as like Grave and all that other stuff, that live sounding almost like I would have put her in the neo soul category. That type of music. That's
Mm-hmm.
who she is. But she plays guitar. What are y'all doing? She can be a star, like a real big star. She's a musician, bro. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. You know, they try to force these artists to do certain stuff just because they want numbers and whatnot. But like, she don't want to do that stuff. Why y'all not listening to her? But anyways,
Yeah.
enough about her.
Same day. Oh,
yes. We got it. Go ahead.
The same day, Snow Allegra dropped one single, "Dying for Your Love," and stole the day. I loved it. It was amazing. How'd you feel about "Dying for Your Love," brother?
Something about her voice just it sends me. It's very like enticing. I think the great word Brandy was on the cosign for Jesus and was talking about her voice and like her aura, and she said she used the word bohemian, and I was like, that's so accurate, and that's why I think people talk about like Snow and Sade. Snow fills the void to me that Sade did, because Sade in that same essence is like that very bohemian, like it's kind of just like the voice. You know her for the voice, and that's the way I look at Snow. Is like we know her for the voice, man. Delivery, the sound. It's just, oh, I love it.
Yeah. What are you about to say? I cut you off. My bad.
No. I was just saying we have a bunch of them here. I want to
give
you some rapid fire, just quick like reaction to them.
Yes.
So I'll go Future, High Off Life. Quick reaction.
I hated it.
I didn't listen to it. Chloe and Halle, Ungodly Hour. Fire. Unanimous. Fire.
Very fire.
Burna Boy, Twice as Tall.
Really good.
I didn't listen to it, but I'm sure it was great. But I heard some sort of like from the Nigerian community, some of the Nigerian friends, like some like mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Nas, King's Disease.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
One of my top projects this year.
Big Sean, Detroit 2.
Good to hear Big Sean's in a good headspace. I didn't love it, but it was good.
What didn't you love about it, really quick?
It was long and not just, and people will say it's long and like they'll point out the amount of songs, but you also got to look at the actual runtime. You can have 25 songs that are like a minute each, and then it's a 25-minute album. Yes. But this was over an hour. Like I think Big Sean's really good. I felt it was a little bloated, and that's natural for some albums these days. I think there were some songs where he sounded very sharp. There was a clear message that he was trying to get at, and then some other ones I think were just kind of there. And I hate to use the word filler. We did a whole board meeting on that, but it sometimes with Sean especially, like it sometimes can feel like there's some filler there. But I loved the one song, the Friday Night Cypher, with all those Detroit artists. There was a track with Ty Dolla $ign that was really dope. Lil Wayne was on there, and yeah, it's just good to hear that Sean is in a much better place mentally than he it sounded like he was previously.
Right. Popcorn, Fixed Tape. Did you check
Hard.
it out?
Very, very good. 2 Drake features on there. Very good. Twist and Turn. All I Need. Love those.
Cash Page, Teenage Fever.
I didn't finish it, but a couple dope tracks on there.
I've only heard a few of her songs. I think she can be one of those people that we're talking about in a few years of like, really great. Calvin Harris, The Weeknd.
Amazing. Over Now is hard. One like a song of the summer type vibe. I'm surprised they didn't release it sooner, but again, life.
Juice WRLD, Legends Never Die. All right.
That is his first posthumous project as well. Very, very good. Did crazy numbers. So RP to him. Love Juice WRLD. Good project.
Tiana Taylor, the album.
Hard. Very, very hard. Great features. Yeah.
There a lot of big writers were on that. A lot of big artists. Like they really brought out
Tiana's
the brigade for that.
people love Tiana in the industry. Like there's a lot of you just
Yeah, she gets
love and respect for her as a director, as an artist, as an actress. So I think a lot of people do want to work with her. Yeah, yeah, dancer too.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
John Legend, Bigger Love.
Really good. I liked it a lot. You didn't?
I'm a John.
That's
Legend
your man's
fan.
too.
That
yeah.
is my guy, bro. So I guess I'd hold him to a different standard, but it was good. There has good songs on there. It just for me, it's just like, and I was talking to DeAndre about this. Shout out DeAndre. It's like, what do you expect from him? He's in the the back nine of his career, latter half of his career, and so like he did give a solid project, but he does. He's a household name at this point. With all the big stuff that he's done, so he's a big celebrity. So he does have to appeal to a bigger audience with some of the stuff that he does. But he has some good producers on there. Camper, shout out Camper. Camper is just killing this entire game right now. So, but it was cool. It was cool. I was like, okay, I accept it. J. Cole, Louis Street.
It was a good 2-pack. The Climb Back and Lion King on Ice were cool. I'm looking forward to his album. I don't think it'll come out this year, but I'm looking forward to a Cole album for sure.
Russ, Take You Back, featuring Kehlani.
I really liked it. I like that collab. Y'all know how I feel about Kehlani. I'm also.
I love Kehlani.
I'm also pretty big on Russ. I'm not afraid to say that publicly.
I respect Russ so much because of his knowledge of the game, the industry, all that stuff. Given that, I was expecting it to hit a little harder. All respect to Russ. We talked about Life on Earth. Black, 6-piece hot.
One of my top projects of the year. Float, Outside, Long Nights, some of my favorite R&B records of the year. Know My Rights, strong feature from Lil Baby. Black just he knows what he's doing, and I love him. And the next one, Wale, The Imperfect Storm. I love how they kind of captured the feelings of Black people in the pandemic, of themselves in the pandemic, but they weren't afraid to write love songs as well. Because even if we're inside watching all the riots and protesting, like we are still lonely and looking for someone to cuddle up with. So I respect that they weren't afraid to be themselves with these projects, and for 6-song EPs to be so strong. So yeah.
Wale, Perfect Storm.
Yeah, I loved it. Love that one too.
Janae, Chilombo Deluxe.
Cool. Had a feature from Kehlani on BS, the song I really loved that originally had her. So yeah, I liked it. It was cool.
Now I already know how you feel about the next one, but Gunna, Wanna Deluxe.
This is my current rap album of the year. Gunna. There's also crack in this album. Great to work out to. You can throw it on shuffle. You can run it through. I just think he's really dialed into what he's good at. He knows who to work with. Him and Young Thug have their collaboration chemistry down to a science. Him and Roddy Ricch really killed it. So yeah, that's my rap album of the year.
Chef G, Just for Y'all EP.
Cool. I really got hip to him recently. He's another one of those Brooklyn drill artists, probably one of the bigger ones. And yeah, he's really taken off. He's getting a lot of love in and out of New York. So I think, yeah.
Lil Durk, Just Because Y'all Waited 2
Deluxe. Good. I like Durk. It's good.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Sweetie Tap In remix featuring Jack Harlow, Post, and DaBaby.
I was worried when I read the names on this. DaBaby's been on a lot. People are a little tired of him. Post Malone on Tap In, I just couldn't really imagine how he would have sounded. But that did sound like a good Jack Harlow beat. DaBaby actually killed his verse. Jack Harlow killed his. Post really did not need to be there. But I'm happy for Saweetie that she kind of struck gold with another one. They're gonna push this really heavy. I don't like how much critique she gets. Like you don't look to her for super crazy lyricism. You don't look to her for she's just having fun making music, and it's stuff that we can have fun too. I don't think she needs to be taken as seriously as some people take her, and not that she shouldn't be taken seriously at all, but people kind of treat her like they treat Rhapsody or something. It's like, yo, chill out. This is two very different artists. Relax.
Young T and Bugsy, Don't Rush, featuring DaBaby.
The song that took over TikTok. I thought it was a good look for DaBaby to jump on a track like this. We've never heard him work with any type of Afro beats type artists. I can't recall unless it's been some
trap.
Yeah, some low key stuff. So and he actually killed his verse. So yeah, I liked it.
Black is King.
Amazing. Amazing.
Unreal. I follow this one photographer, Teo. Shout out to Teo Jr. he was saying like this type of inspiration should not be for free. Like should have to pay for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Victoria Monet's album, I don't know if you caught that.
I did not.
It was fantastic. Jaguar, her debut release. Her pen like is known in the industry. She writes for a lot of people. She wrote on B7 as well. She's a fantastic writer, fantastic singer, a great artist. Excited for her success. Kanye Travis single "Wash Us in the Blood."
It was. I didn't really like it. It was interesting hearing Travis Scott on a song like that. Especially because like it was rumored that him and Kanye were beefing, and he made "Stop Trying to Be God," and the people thought that was aimed at Kanye, and then he's on a religious type song with Kanye. I don't know. It was weird, but I didn't really like it much.
Right. Sam Smith, Burna Boy, My Oasis.
Hard. Another one of my favorite songs this summer. Sam Smith, I can't think of a bad Sam Smith song, and I can't think of a bad Burna Boy song. And hearing them together, hearing that Sam can match Burna, and like it was.
Sam's hip.
Yeah.
Sam be knowing. Low-key, Sam be knowing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for him. He's trying to make a comeback, and he's been releasing a lot of stuff, and I think it's just not getting the attention that I think it deserves. But you know, he's still out here working. Don't think Sam Smith is not out here
anymore.
Yeah. Bieber, Holy featuring Chance.
It was cool. I liked it. I listened once. It was cool.
It was good. Yeah. We talked about WAP already. Usher, Bad Habits.
Hard. The man. He just he's Usher. He's Usher.
He's not gonna fail. Logic, his retirement album.
I'm gonna admit I haven't listened. Logic.
The single. What is it called? Dad Bod or? I don't know.
Maybe.
Listen, you know, do your thing, Logic. I know people give him a lot of hate. I mean,
yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. Just like, why y'all hating on him, man? He's just trying to live his life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good for you, Logic. Do your thing, brother.
I wish him much peace in retirement. Even if I wasn't interested, I never want an artist to have a bad experience unless they suck as a person.
Oh my God.
And he doesn't suck as a person. So,
right. Alicia Keys just came out.
My crush, my childhood crush.
I thought it was fantastic. It was interesting though. I would say like the last like 2 songs, I don't know how many. It was just ballads like her and the piano. And I was surprised at some of the engineering choices that they did. Like they had, you know, I can get technical with it, but some of the stuff I was like, oh, it's more of a it feels live. So like she sound like she did run through. So there's a few like little moments, you know, people be trying to critique Alicia's vocals and stuff like that. Like Alicia can sing. Yeah, she can sing, you know, like her, I think her voice is a specific type of voice. You have to really get into it. And she's also gotten older. People lose range as they get older, but I'm alluding to certain things. But
yeah,
go listen to it and check it out. I thought the album was fantastic. She's on a different variety of different type of beats and songs, great production. And also too, like she's in the back nine of her career as well. So like, you know, I'm excited that she put this out as still a high level product.
And she got Sampha outside, bro. Sampha. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it, but bruh, I miss him.
Yeah, it was good to hear his voice as well.
Yes, sir.
This next man,
The Hive.
He is. I don't know what he's on, but he needs to stay on it. Baby
yes.
Keem. Hooligans and then Sons and Critics.
Yeah. Very, 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 very good. That's really all like he I feel like he's like a hybrid of so many different types of artists. Like I hear Thug in him, but then I hear Kendrick, and then I hear a little bit of Drake sometimes, and like he sounds like one of those people who they would label a mumble rapper, but he'll bar you up and you can hear exactly what he's saying. Then he's got range. He'll hit you with a melody. Like his album from 2019, to Die for My BITCH, we're trying to not curse these days. It's still one of my favorite albums of 2019. I think he knows how to make music that sounds good. It's as simple as that. He knows how to make music that people like to hear. He's associated with the right people. Drake co-signed, Kendrick co-signed. There was a leak of a Kendrick song that I think either Kendrick referenced for him or he's referencing for Kendrick, and it sounds crazy. And I hope that they work together more.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, they are cousins. They're familial connection. But I think forsaking that familial connection, like that's not why he's on. He's on, and I think
talented.
He's getting on because he's just dope. Like it's just his visuals are interesting. He's creative. His approach is creative. The sounds are creative. The delivery, like he's very quotable. He has these cool one-liners. Like he's like, just go to your room. Like when he said that, I just laughed. Like he's engaging. He's very engaging, and it's hard. His beats are hard. They're unique. They're different. And he just finds good pockets. I'm really excited for Baby King.
Yeah.
Last Conway from King.
Conway, the Machine, Griselda Boy. I loved his project. I think he is my favorite rapper of the three. And yeah, the man is just he'll bar you up. He gave us the woke conscious stuff. Barred up with Method Man, of course, gave us a Griselda track as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I'm planning to bump it some more. So yeah, shout out to Conway.
Nice. All right, y'all. That was our out of office segment. We tried to get 3 months in, crammed in a little bit of time. I know that took a little bit, but I hope y'all enjoyed that out of office segment. Let us know what we missed on social media. I know it's just too much stuff. We can't include everything, but I know we missed a few things. There's some big honorable mentions that we probably missed, but let us know what we missed, y'all. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on into the half and half, y'all. I'm sipping some new stuff today. Season 2, we're getting different there. Sipping on some kombucha. Kombucha, what is that? For those who don't know, it's a probiotic tea. It's fermented tea. It's amazing. I believe it's Chinese. The original kombucha was like from China, but I could be wrong. But anyways, this is maca berry flavored, so it's black currant, aronia, and maca root. Maca, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, it's good. It's good for you. Probiotics mean it's good for your gut health. It's good for energy with the aronia and maca root. Black currants, antioxidants, all types of stuff like that. So I'm gonna be going in and out of tea, kombucha, and some other type of healthy drinks this half and half for this season. So our half and half is coming out of Complex. This is why people are tuning out Kanye West's important message about the music industry. It's by Andre G. Shout out Andre. And we're gonna kind of talk about this in the board meeting a little bit more. But the idea is that what's going on now is that there's been a sort of a renaissance and an awakening of people understanding their worth as content creators, as artists, and it's just not just music. It's going to span a lot of things in which to, saying content creators taking back what is owed to them in this sort of, like I said, renaissance and revolution of saying we are owed what we are owed. The discussion is talking about, of course, Kanye's ownership and rights, specifically Kanye being the figure that he is versus the message that he is giving out. And I think that oftentimes, like I said, we were talking about in a conversation earlier, is that oftentimes we shoot down we forsake the message and we try to shoot the messenger because of the messenger. So Kanye has been right about a lot of stuff, I think, in his message, but he's wrong in a lot of stuff in his message as well. And so he's like the boy that cried wolf. We've heard so many things from him that are just like, whatever. But I think what he's saying has true merit. And he does it in his own dramatic fashion of how he gets these ideas out. But the article goes on to discuss, we've seen in this past little while, you've seen him urinating on a Grammy, one of his Grammys. We talked about, he's in a dispute with the Universal Music Group and a few others about his masters. There's been some controversy coming out about possibly Jay-Z being a part of that discussion. We'll get to that eventually. But this happened to, it's really interesting because, Kanye was talking about all the different artists. And this is not a new struggle, artists trying to reclaim their masters. I mean, Sierra and Russell Wilson. Russell gifted Sierra her masters. It's just like a weird concept, for those who don't understand about masters. Masters are essentially the ownership rights, one part of the ownership of the song. The song is split into 2 parts, but the masters is really like how you get paid and how your kids eat off of that. And oftentimes in these contracts, Kanye did post his whole contract. Well, in these contracts, oftentimes sort of labels, when they have this thing called a recoupment, where they basically it's essentially a loan. They give you a loan for this money, but they have to get all that back. So they give you an advance. They'll pay for the studio equipment. They pay for features. They pay for producers. They pay for all the stuff. But you have to recoup that, and they recoup that based off the masters and so the streaming and ownership of the song. And so over time, artists want to own that because that's really how artists eat, especially if there's no tours and no shows going on.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of probably pushed and been the impetus for getting people to awaken to say, like, y'all need to own your masters, because it's been that ghostly conversation in the back, that whisper in the back saying, own your masters, like, get your masters. They're like, it's really in the forefront now. It's a loud voice. So That's a half and half. I think I didn't want to get too deep because we're going to discuss that in the board meeting. But
Yeah.
that is our half and half. I'm sipping on my kombucha. Health Aid, y'all get at me. Health Aid.
Big sponsorship. We want to jump into our employee of the month. This is someone I wanted to give them a full month since we took our break at the end of season 1. So our employee of the month once again is our girl Alexis Salki. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Woo. All right. She does a lot. Alexis is a creative director, brand consultant, and host. If you saw Talawa Productions all over your social media, that's her. Responsible for a bunch of different creative and visual consultation for all types of creative stuff. She's also a grad student at NYU. I'm a big fan of her website. She ran A for Alexis prior to rebranding. Through that, she developed a docuseries for women in music called the I Am series, and that featured Stay Busy alum Regina Cho and Imaris Reyes. She directed our Stay Busy commercial and photo shoots like One of the Boys featuring our creative dude, Kevin Joseph. She also runs The Drop. It was a bi-weekly thing on her Instagram story where she shouted out different creatives doing things in fashion and music and the what have you. And she makes her own playlist called the A-List, mad clever. And she's hosted events with A Boogie and ASAP Ferg. So Alexis is pretty much the embodiment of Stay Busy, and that's the homegirl.
Nice.
Got to see her this summer. She's been working. She's always working. So one more time, our employee of the month, Alexis.
Yes, Alexis.
Here we go. All right. It's time. It's been a while, but we jumping back. Yeah, I know the best song was not the single. Let's jump into the slide deck. All right. So what you got for us today, brother?
I have a song from an artist that I think y'all are really gonna love because he's very unique. He's his own thing, and that's why I love him. This is Racket by Durand Bernarr.
All right.
Why would I wanna be quiet?
Everything wanna make noise. Goddamn.
Trying to keep my balance, but I keep
falling down.
Bruh.
Why would I wanna be quiet?
Everything wanna make noise.
Trying to keep my balance, but I keep
falling down.
GarageBand ain't never hurt nobody. Sooner or later I update the logic. You think that you can? Sure, Jan. Get the fuck up off of my head, man. Thank you everybody that came to donate. I got you next time that I slide through your state. It'll be worth it cause you know my shit's great. Why you think they're trying to hide me like a keepsake?
I think you're scared, baby. What I look like next to you. You might be scared, baby. Don't want me to do better than you. Don't want me to be better. I just can't be better. Damned if I be better than you. Don't want me to be better. I just can't be better. Damned if I be better than you.
Okay. All right. All right.
That is some heat. That is some heat. Durand Bernarr, for those who don't know, Durand Bernarr is a backup singer for Erykah Badu. So people don't know that, but he is coming into his own. He was on Bubba, Kaytranada's last project as a feature. He featured Anderson .Paak's last project, background vocals. The man is a vocal aficionado, I would say. Amazing vocals, unique voice. The way he uses his voice, he's kind of like a funky, like talk stuff type of guy. Like he's really funny. He's really interactive on his IG, and I love the way that comes together on that music. You can hear the backgrounds. You can hear just the range of voice. He's a baritone, so he uses that deep voice. I just love that. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that.
Yeah, nah, it was a lot of different layers. He caught me when he took it up on that one part. I was like, oh, all right, Durand, you got it. So yeah, I definitely want to hear more from him. My slide for today, Garden Rain by Jazz Karis, produced by Alex Blake, Isaac Adowasi, and Malik Venner.
just like autumn rain. He's rough around the edge like a dollar stain. He's messing with my head, I can see the stars. When I close my eyes, I'm addicted to another life. On his golden throne, he's playing with my mind, can't come to the phone. I'm getting left behind in another world, a never-ending dream. I'm addicted to a fantasy, so walk on out. And do the things you do to make me stay in love. Yeah, walk on out. I won't call, I won't write, 'cause my pride is enough.
All right, that
I like
was
that.
Garden Rain, Jazz Karis. Kind of took the mood down a little bit, but I love it. I love
It
it.
does sound like some Garden Rain. I love that. I love when the titles feel like, the songs feel like the title.
Yeah. My boys, Leslie, Sam, and NT put me onto her. She's from London, actually, UK. This is the first song on her project. I heard it. It's the project's called All Eyes on You. I heard it. I loved it immediately. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be one of my slides eventually.
Yeah,
so tap into Jazz Karis Garden Rain, and as y'all know, season 2. This Stay Busy slide deck playlist will be live on all platforms. The link is in our IG and Twitter bio. Artists, if you would like your slide to be played, send it to us. We, if it's hot, we're going to play it. We'll definitely give you some feedback regardless. And we want to use this to give a platform to more independent artists like my brother Nick here himself. So artists, just send us your tracks. We gonna be honest, but don't be afraid. Look, you got to know you gonna get some compliments, you gonna get some criticism. That's just the game, but that's how you get better. That said, it's board meeting time. First board meeting of the season. Are you ready? Ready for the board meeting?
Let's go, man.
So, you and I, as ambitious individuals with this podcast, our goal isn't to just keep it at the listenership that we have. We want to expand. We want to be a household brand. When you hear "Stay Busy" with Armand Sadler, you think of us. You think of the brand. You think of the merch that will be rolling out. But the reality is, to become a big media conglomerate, if you do it the independent way, it takes a lot of time and it may not always work out. A lot of these talents that we know and we love, they have to go to these bigger companies for the funding, and sometimes they don't own the content that they are putting out and that we enjoy and we consume and we love, and that leads to some very tense situations like we're seeing with Kanye West. And this is both in music and podcasting, because we're going to get just content in general. Just being a creator is one of the most difficult things, because you want to put so much of your love and your passion into the art, but managing the business with all these different legal terms and these contracts and these clauses and stuff, there's a lot that you as the creator aren't prepared for. And oftentimes people will say, oh well, why do you sign to labels, or why do you sign to these big companies if you know what's going on? It's like, well, it's deeper than that.
Exactly.
A lot of creators don't go into what they do expecting to be taken advantage of, so these companies tell us, we love this album, or we love what you've done, or we love your podcast, we want to sign you. And you're like, oh, bet they're throwing me a mill or whatever to do this, $1 million advance. Yeah, I'm gonna take that. Not a lot of creators, when they're, really looking to profit off of what they're doing, they might not think of the back end, the long term, and getting into a situation where they have to fight for the rights to their content because you don't think that someone is going to treat you in that way. So we've got a slate of a bunch of different situations to get into. You all are very aware I'm a big Joe Budden podcast fan. Joe Budden himself, the podcast has been exclusive to Spotify since September 2018, and it was number one from the day it got there up to now. When they signed, and like on launch day, they crashed the platform. Joe increased their audience by 900% or something like that. It was just a very, very crazy performance, and Spotify was kind of behind the 8 ball in terms of podcasting. So Joe Budden's podcast success showed them how much money there is in it. And then that's when we see Spotify signing other big podcasters like, the Ringer with Bill Simmons or Joe Rogan or Michelle Obama or even Kim Kardashian. And it's like, so Joe sees this and they try to get off for Christmas and New Year's Eve, and they're not giving off for Christmas and New Year's Eve because they were tied to a contract and they were expected to put out a certain number of episodes. But it's like, well, you wouldn't think signing the contract to make sure that you get off for Christmas and New Year's Eve, because that just seems like it's a given. Those are holidays that a lot of different people celebrate, or just around that time there's a slate of different things that people recognize and observe. And then to kind of really just kind of, to me it seemed like a spit in their face. Instead of getting the vacation days, they were offered Rolexes and then told the ones that they picked out were too expensive. So the consolation gift that they were offered, instead of getting the vacation days or getting the information that they felt that they were entitled to, given that they brought so much to Spotify, they didn't even get their consolation prize. Yeah. And so, for us as podcasters, I know me in particular, and not that this means Spotify is evil, although that is the narrative among a bunch of podcasters. For me, I was like, yo, a Spotify deal would be amazing. One of my biggest, someone I really look up to, notched a deal with Spotify, and I saw what he did for them and what it did for him as well. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, well, these platforms that we look up to and we really love, now we have to consider, do they really appreciate our content? Do they really appreciate us? Or is it just what they bring, what we bring to the platform? So for you as an artist, seeing, the Kanye stuff and the Megan Thee Stallion stuff, and we can go all the way back to De La Soul. They're still in talks with Tommy Boy Records, trying to get their back catalog. Jesus. It's been a long dispute. There's a quote from Kelvin Mercer that says, we're in the Library of Congress, but we're not even on iTunes. Your music is in the Library of Congress, but because of some bad deal or some label that doesn't want to give up your masters because they don't appreciate you as much as you thought, you can't even be on iTunes, and like some of your stuff isn't even streamable. So all of this considered, you as both an artist and a podcaster, how does this empower how you're going to move forward? Given you do have your background in labor law, shout out to ILR, but there's a lot that we probably still don't even know, and a lot that we have to consult someone for, and there are fees associated with that we might not be able to cover. It's just a lot. So I'm sorry. How does it empower how you're going to?
No, I completely understand that. And I mean, it's interesting because, you think about like kind of what our responsibility is as independent artists, right? It's kind of one of those situations where like you hear people about like Russ. Like Russ there's a lot of voices in the independent artist realm who talk about and always providing resources, advice and tips. And his main thing is just like, if you get screwed on a contract, I don't feel bad for you. And I think that's a pretty aggressive approach to take, but that's a very his point being is that there's so many resources, free resources to begin to understand some of this murky water that is the music business in relation to how labels can screw you and how they can't, right? And just business deals in general, because it's not just labels, it's, publishing deals. There's all types of different deals that you have to understand. That's how you get paid as an artist. And if you do want to partner, like Nipsey did, shout out Nipsey, with Atlantic towards, the end of his, towards like the last, I think for Victory Lap is when he partnered with them, is that it was a partnership deal. He knew exactly what the deal he wanted. He'd been approached many times before by labels and knew what he wanted. Brent Faiyaz is another independent artist who knows specifically what he wants from a label. And I remember there was an interview, they were talking about the highest they were going to offer him was 18%. And that was astronomically high for a young artist. 18%. Just 18%, huh? That makes no sense. So because we can do the entire process nowadays, you don't need a label to pay for your studio time. You don't need all this stuff. A lot of people record projects in their house, full things. You have to, I think there is some responsibility to understanding the business that is on the artist side. You have to know what a publishing deal is. You have to know the typical structures. You don't need to know all the crazy legal terms, but you should have a general idea of what things are, right? So when you hear certain things, you're like, that's fake, that's weird. I need to have someone look over this. And so there is a sort of onus on the artist to educate yourself. because there's so many resources to do so. However, on the other side of that, there are people who are just naturally manipulative in business, and they want to manipulate you. You know, the structure of the business, of the music business, is that, you know, you pay the labels paid up all this upfront money for you to then give it back to them in the form of, you know, as we say, recruitment, for them taking pieces of your pie, from your publishing, from the concerts, the tour, that's 360 and so on and so forth. But me as an independent artist, I understand, like, I'm not averse to labels. I'm averse to the idea of no ownership or not partner. You know what I'm saying? And I think to get there for independent artists, you have to have leverage. Why would a label want to partner with you as opposed to taking more of the pie? You know what I'm saying? When they're putting up all this upfront stuff, because at the end of the day, the labels do serve that sort of purpose as far as they have a different type of reach. And that's, you know, like I was watching videos of Nipsey saying, like, they just have different connections to different stuff, like, you know, radio, press tours across the country, putting you in international markets if you're viable in those sort of markets. There's just so many ways to get creative. But I think being an independent artist too, you have to have either yourself, you are the person driving the business, and you have that mindset of, like, you're thinking about how can I finesse it and put it and do all the marketing, publicity, all that. You think about all that stuff. Or if you're an artist and like you just want to create, but you don't want to sign your life away, then you need to build a team around you of people. And you don't necessarily need, you know, have to have a lawyer. A lot of people don't realize, like, to read a contract, you just have to know what you specifically want in there, just be familiar with the language and whatnot. You don't always need a lawyer, but in relation to labels, I do suggest that you get someone who knows the sort of the terminologies and where labels may put the little loopholes and little, like, sneaky stuff, backdoor stuff, like so. I think at the end of the day, I have to agree and say that the onus now is on the artist to really understand stuff. There are manipulative contracts out there. We can't change that fact, right? And that's why it's so much on the artist to understand what you're getting yourself into. And don't just sign when you hear a big number. Don't just sign. Master P, they offered him $1 million. He said, wait. He turned it down. If y'all offer me $1 million in this sort of crooked system, how much am I really worth? And that's the question, you know? So it's like, but if you do get in a contract, I don't know. It is strange. Like, honor your contract. I don't know how you do that. There's a lot of contracts that are just disgusting, like Kanye's. Like,
yeah. They broke it down on DJ Booth, his deal with Rockefeller and his deal with UMG. His deal with Rockefeller was deemed unfavorable. There was a tweet that came out that said Jay-Z sold the masters of Kanye's first 6 albums to get back the masters for his own album. And now we know Kanye and Jay-Z's relationship has been very, there's been some bumps in the road.
Souring.
And like even early on, if you remember Kanye's song Big Brother, which sounds like a tribute to Hove, you know, he makes a couple points in there talking about different moments where he was upset with Hove or Hove kind of did him dirty. So it's like, this has been a long-standing thing between you two, and Hove really gave Kanye that platform. So looking back, if you're thinking of Kanye, you're a producer who's trying to do something, who's trying to make your own music and be big, you might just sign anything back. Like, you know, Kanye might not have been thinking about years down the road getting his masters, wanting to just be free, and that, you know, he would be locked into something that he didn't have that freedom. And it's a really, really good article. Shout out to DJ Booth for just that breakdown. A lot of legal terms that I don't know. And like, admittedly, these are things that we all should be a lot more aware of. You know, if we're going to be critiquing the music, I think we should also understand, because I always say, when you can understand the business, you can understand why the art kind of moves the way that it does. Like, well, why certain artists, you know, might release a certain amount of times, or why they might not be able to put anything else out at all, or why they're complaining about their label, but they're still signed to their label. Like, there's
just understand the why more.
There's so many different things that like we don't know. And, you know, and it's funny when we were talking earlier about, you know, SZA and TDE, a lot of people think that that's part of the TDE rollout, where different artists complain about how their music isn't coming out. But then you see Kanye talking about how, you know, he's a slave within his contract. And, you know, if you look at his contract and how he wasn't able to retire, it's like, well, what do you mean I can't stop making music when I feel like I'm done making music? I have to make music for y'all forever? Like, that's pretty predatory. And, you know, that's something that someone who was more educated might have been able to catch. And again, you're not thinking about that when you see $1 million advances and all this and all that, and they give you a chain the day that you sign, like stuff like this. Like it really feels like this whole grandiose gesture, and you're kind of deceived into something that'll end up screwing you in the long run. So yeah, you know, his Twitter rant, he wants to get Drake and Kendrick and Taylor Swift together. He feels he's in the same situation as Taylor Swift, and he just wants everyone to get their masters back. That's his plan. And then Hit Boy, in the midst of all of Kanye's tweets, he came out with some pretty heavy stuff saying that Kanye stopped messing with him because he was producing for Beyonce, and you know, Hit Boy helped him make Niggas in Paris and a bunch of other tracks, and he's been locked into a deal with Universal Music Publishing Group for 14 years that he doesn't like, and he still wants to get out of it. And he said, you know, like, Kanye's right. The music industry is trash. Like that's the thing. A lot of people have been saying Kanye is right, but it's like you said before, it's who the messenger is and who he stood next to the last few years, working with 6ix9ine, being friends with Donald Trump, and there's a lot of different things. So it's almost difficult to sympathize for Kanye in this situation. Whereas, you know, Megan back in March with hers, like everyone pretty much rallied around her. And De La Soul, of course, being the legends that they are, everyone's like, yo, come on, like regardless of like these legal terms and all, there's just like certain principles, like this is De La Soul. Give them their back catalog.
You would think,
Yeah.
but these people, like, and that's the thing about a lot of the art and a lot of the sports and just content people, like the people who are the ones making a lot of the business decisions don't get it. They've never created anything in their life. You know what I'm saying? These are people who are just looking at zeros and ones and thinking, well, no, this doesn't make sense for that. Like, people don't understand that, you know, culture is the currency. That's another Nipsey quote there. Is like, when you can trade the culture, that's really what makes things move. Money always follows. Money always comes and moves. Like, I don't know what the specific situation is with De La Soul, but for them to not be on streaming, they're not on streaming.
They're not on iTunes.
It just, like, certain things just don't make sense. So, like, don't you want to get more money off of them? Why is that? You know, so, and that's where you get into the things like greed that play a part, and, you know, like personal vendettas and these things that play a part in the role in the business and the industry that are just truthfully sickening. And it's just very, very frustrating to see, like, that this sort of stuff happens. But like I said, it's nowadays, given like how much access to information there is now, you know, Kanye was, you know, around in a different type of time with the contract and so on and so forth. And I think he's a smart businessman, but I truthfully believe he's like a creator's creative. Like, that's really where he lives and he exists. Even though he has built up a bunch of businesses and whatnot, because for him to even have all the access to lawyers and resources and all this stuff to be in these crazy contracts, it's just like, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm putting all the responsibility on the artist. Like, I think naturally it's just been the music industry is so notorious for that exploit of artists.
Yeah.
Way back.
And you just never think it's going to be you too.
You never think it's going to be you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact too. But it's just like, artists, look, you have to understand the purpose of labels and what they're setting out to do. They're setting out to make money, make sure that their bottom line is, you know, we're in an industry where there's a lot of upfront costs and not a lot of guarantee that you're going to get that money back. Same as film. You know what I'm saying? That there's all this money that's put into a production budget, and hopefully it does well in the box office type thing. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, like you said, understanding the business, you see how the art moves and like what choices are made with the art. And so I think artists who want to protect themselves and understand like where their worth is, you have to get comfortable, you know, with some basics of the business, man. Like, and don't just sign when you hear numbers. You don't sign, because TLC, way back when Left Eye did that video of a breakdown, like, how could you sell 10 million records and be broke? People don't understand. Boom, off rip, your recoup costs, right? So the label got to get their money. Boom, and then producer fees, publishing, or whoever owns stuff. Boom, Uncle Sam, cut that up out of there because you're in a different tax bracket. Then, if you're in a group, split it how many ever ways. And look back, out of that big piece of the pie, what you got left. So, you know, long story short, I think there is an onus on artists to really understand, because a lot of contracts are predatory in nature. You know what I'm saying? They're always trying to see what they can get out of you, and their bottom line is the money. Their bottom line is not doing you right. And it's kind of like, you know, Joe had kind of noticed that when he was talking. It's like, well, at the end of the day, like, I guess I got to honor my contract.
Yeah.
And so it's a really tough situation, but you know, artists.
Layers. It's layers. There's a lot of layers to it. And yeah, I think doing your due diligence, as long as in an ideal world, you can be self-sufficient. You can do all this yourself, but it's not an ideal world. You know, some artists feel like they need these big machines, these labels. And, you know, at the very least, if you can arm yourself with the knowledge, equip yourself with the knowledge where you can get yourself out of a bad situation, or if you have to go to litigation, go to court with someone that you have a foot to stand on, absolutely do that. Z from DJ Booth, he's big on telling artists, you know, don't take the manager that a label gives you. Like, find your own management team outside of it. It's the same with legal, because if they're working for the label, they're probably looking for the label's best interest. So find your own or manage yourself, but also be aware, like, you know, don't get a finance manager and another manager and then them taking all these different percentages from you, and then you're really not even making as much from your art as you deserve to. There's really a lot of different like nooks and crannies and nuances to be aware of. It's tough. Like, I, you know, as a podcaster entering that space, I'm learning it, but for artists who have been enduring this for years, and clearly labels, there's so much that they didn't want you guys to know. I really, really feel bad, because there's so many people that we really love who have been caught up in these slave-like deals. And like, even Kanye, you know, coming out saying how he feels, he was consistently going over his budget at UMG and getting crazy advances, but all of that, and he's still not satisfied because he's still not fully in control of what he wants to be in control with. So yeah, I mean, you know, success on the surface, it seems incredible, and behind the scenes, you could be drowning. So we just always want independent artists to really be aware of what they're getting themselves into. I personally admire anyone who's committed to building on their own. You see the numbers, you see how you can get Spotify personalized ads from a label, and people run to that. But, you know, the people who are, you know, really grinding it out, building up on their own, those are the people who are going to be better for it. So shout out to y'all. And yeah, you know, I just want to see this industry be better. That's it.
I don't know if you'll get that, my brother. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, people got to be better first for the industry to get better. But people are greedy naturally. So well, not naturally, but I think the system, you know, makes people greedy.
And that's the craziest part, is that, you know, people always say, oh, it's the industry. It's like, well, the industry doesn't exist without the people. So you're right. Like, the people have to want to be better first. So hey, let's all just strive to be better. Let's love one another. Let's because I don't, you know, I personally like when Twitter is fun, when we can just debate stuff, and we can, like, I don't like seeing artists complain about not being able to be themselves and be free. Like, that's crazy to see in 2020. Like, that's and it's a weird time, but yeah. That's our board meeting. Bulletin board. I don't know of anything going on. I mean, people, they kind of reopened outside in like limited ways. My gym is allowing 25% capacity, so I'm in there again. We back. Certain places allowing indoor dining. I've seen a couple of driving concerts. Division did like 3 in Toronto. I think DaBaby did 1, and but if y'all got anything coming up that y'all know of, or any events that you're hosting, local events, comedy shows, concerts that are safe, that are non-contagious, send them and we will put them on our bulletin board. Man, Stay Busy is back. Busy is back. The boys are back. We missed y'all. Very heavy episode. A lot that we covered. But hey, when you're gone and things are happening, you got to come back. You got to remind the world how busy you are. That said, I am Armand. That's my boy, Nick Early. Y'all probably gonna see him in the studio once it's back. But until then, stay safe, stay humble, and stay busy.
New outro, y'all.
Oh yeah, check out the new outro.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right.